Today is the day that has come to knock on the closed door of your life, the one you've stood before for far too long. You've seen many nights where your eyes held no sleep, only questions. You've tried to smile many times, but deep inside, your heart was broken. People mistook your silence for weakness. They never sensed your struggles. Seeing the smile on your face, everyone assumed everything was fine, but no one asked what storm was raging inside your heart. Today, it's as if time is whispering in your ears, "Enough is enough. Your story is about to change." No matter how many times your steps have stopped, no matter how many times your hopes have been dashed, the fire within you has never died. Every pain has made you stronger, not weaker. The tears that flowed from your eyes were not in vain. The nights of your loneliness were not in vain. Every moment of your waiting was writing a new beginning for you. You felt that fate was against you. You felt that the world had forgotten you. But the story wasn't over. The most powerful part of the story was yet to come. Today, your heart needs to hear that your defeat wasn't the ultimate truth. Not every dead end is meant to stop you. Some paths close so you can find a path greater than you ever imagined. The brokenness within you will become your strength. The people who left you, those who laughed at your dreams, those who considered you weak, time will hold them accountable for your silence. You have waited too long. You have endured too much. You have kept so much bottled up in your heart. Now, it's as if time is placing a hand on your shoulder and saying, "Rise up," because a new chapter in your life is about to begin. A chapter in which you will have tears in your eyes, but this time, not of pain, but of joy. A smile will be on your face, but this time not of helplessness, but of peace. The victory you've dreamed of for so long is drawing closer. But the real miracle won't just happen outside. The greatest miracle will be within you. You will start believing in yourself again. You will start dreaming again. And the day a person believes in themselves, that day their destiny begins to change. And when the most beautiful page of life opens, it doesn't open with a fanfare. It comes slowly, just like the first rays of dawn. In the beginning, nothing makes sense. Everything seems the same as before. The same people, the same paths, the same days and nights. But suddenly, you begin to feel something change inside. The heart that used to break at every little thing is now growing stronger. The eyes that used to be filled with pain every night now see a new glimmer of hope. It's as if someone has rekindled a dying light within you. You never told anyone about the battles you fought alone. The world only saw your smile, but never saw the pain hidden behind it. You supported people, but you yourself kept breaking. You cared for everyone's happiness, but never paid attention to the wounds in your heart. Sometimes it felt like there was no more. Sometimes it felt like everything was over. But every time, a small voice inside you stopped you, telling you not yet. You still had a long way to go. Today, that same voice called out to you again. It said, "Don't let the past chain you. Don't shed tears for those who don't understand you. Because some people come into your life, not to support you, but to strengthen you. Some pains come not to break you, but to renew you. And the person who passes through the fire of pain finds a different kind of radiance within them. There will come a time when you will look back and say to yourself, if I had given up then, I would never have seen this day. If I had stayed in that darkness, I would never have found this light." Because sometimes life empties us so that it can fill us with more than we could have ever imagined. A dream still lives within you, even if you've hidden it from others, even if you've tried to hide it from yourself. That dream still breathes in your heart. And dreams never come without reason. They come because you have the power to make them come true, sooner or later. But the moment inevitably comes when hard work, patience, and faith, combined together, change a person's world. The silence within you is no ordinary silence. Within it lies countless unfulfilled words, the voices of countless shattered dreams. Your heart has absorbed so much pain that it has now become a part of you. Many times, you sat among people with a smile on your face. You laughed with everyone, but somewhere in your heart, there was always an emptiness that couldn't be explained in words. You wanted someone to understand your condition without you having to tell them. Someone to look into your eyes and ask if you were truly okay or just pretending to be. But life isn't always the way we want it to be. Sometimes they make us walk lonely paths, because some destinations are reached not with a crowd but only with courage. Do you remember the time when you told yourself, "I won't expect anything from anyone anymore. I won't let my heart get hurt anymore"? But the human heart is strange. Even after being broken 1,000 times, it never stops hoping. Even after every break, it keeps waiting for some light. And perhaps that is humanity's greatest strength. Even when everything seems to be over, a tiny bit of hope remains somewhere in the heart. That hope has brought you this far. That hope has given you the strength to rise every time you fall. There are many pages in the book of your life that can bring tears to your eyes when you read them. Days when you wiped your own tears, moments when you needed someone, but no one was there. Moments when you lay awake at night, wondering why this was happening in your life. You consoled yourself 1,000 times, consoled yourself 1,000 times, but still, there were some pains that refused to leave your heart. You remained strong on the outside, but you were always crumbling inside. The hardest part was that no one looking at you could even realize the battles raging within you. But now, it feels as if time is slowly changing. As if after a long period of darkness, the faint light of dawn has begun to appear in the sky. Perhaps you can't see everything clearly right now, but change is always felt first, and then seen. Just as a seed grows silently in the soil and one day suddenly emerges as a tree, your hard work, your patience, your tears, and your struggle are not lost. They are all becoming the foundation of your future. A day will come when you won't need to prove anything to anyone. Your silence will tell your story. The sparkle in your eyes will reveal the storms you've overcome. Your smile will show that even after enduring pain, a person can learn to live again. And that day, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you won't just see your face, you'll see a warrior. A warrior who fell 1,000 times, broken 1,000 times, but still stood, still kept moving forward. Yet, he never gave up hope. And perhaps this is the turning point where life slowly begins to change. You won't feel anything special at first. The mornings will be the same, the sun will rise the same, the people you'll meet will be the same, the paths will remain the same. But change doesn't always start from the outside, but from within. Your way of thinking will begin to shift. The things that used to break you will now make you smile and move on. The people whose departure used to bring your world to a standstill will no longer stop you, because you'll begin to understand that life isn't about one person, one opportunity, or one defeat. You've probably endured more than enough pain. Some people cry for a few days, but you kept the pain silent in your heart for months. You didn't complain to anyone. You kept your voice locked inside. There were times when your heart wanted to scream. Many times you wanted to break down and cry, but you still controlled yourself. You didn't let your tears become your weakness. The world saw your silence, but not the fight within you. No one saw that every night you tried to put your broken pieces back together. But time keeps track of everything. Every effort, every struggle, every pain, and every weight is recorded somewhere. Life never leaves anyone empty-handed forever. Sometimes it's late, but darkness doesn't last forever. A person who has endured pain with patience will one day find a joy that heals all old wounds. And when that moment comes, a person isn't just happy, they're transformed from within. One day, you'll suddenly realize that the things you used to cry for no longer matter as much to you. The people for whom you had forgotten yourself will no longer be the center of your world. You'll begin to find yourself again. You'll talk about your dreams again. You'll stand in front of the mirror again and say to yourself, "I'm not finished yet." And that day, your eyes won't just be filled with tears. They'll be filled with a new spark. That spark will belong to a person who didn't let pain overwhelm them, who, even after being broken, didn't let themselves die, who, even in the darkness, didn't stop looking for light. Because that's the most beautiful thing about life. When everything seems to be ending, sometimes that's where the most beautiful beginnings are born. Then, a day will come when you'll realize you're no longer the same person who used to break down over every little thing. The smile on your face will be the same. Your eyes will be the same. Your voice will be the same. But something deep within you will have changed. Because pain doesn't just make a person cry, it also knows how to renew them. The storms that tried to tear you down left you stronger. The nights that made you cry taught you that no matter how deep the darkness, nothing can stop the dawn. You never asked too much from life. All you wanted was a little peace, a little belonging, a little love where you didn't have to prove yourself. All you wanted was someone to understand you for who you were. But life didn't give you happiness straight away. It first gave you pain, waiting, and loneliness. At the time, you thought fate was against you. You thought perhaps only struggle was destined for you. But sometimes fate frees you up to make room for something greater. Remember that moment when you silently wiped your tears and told no one. Remember that night when the whole world was asleep, and you lay awake, staring at the ceiling. You had 1,000 questions. When will everything change? When will my life smile? When will the day come when I can breathe a sigh of relief without pain? Perhaps you didn't find the answer that night. But not every question is answered at the same time. Time holds some answers and gently places them in your hands when the right moment arrives, and now it feels as if life itself is giving you those answers. Slowly, without any fanfare, without any announcement, hope is awakening within you again. Your heart is beginning to dream again. Your soul is beginning to believe again that perhaps there is still much more to come. Perhaps my story isn't over yet. Perhaps the best part of my life is yet to be written. Because some people don't shine early in life. Some struggle for a long time. Some wait for a long time. They break for a long time. But when their time comes, it's not just their circumstances that change. Their entire world changes. And perhaps your life too stands at the same door where the path ahead will transform you into the person you only ever imagined in your dreams. Your life story isn't like those ordinary stories that end without struggle. Your story is one of those stories that contains pain, waiting, brokenness, and a silent battle the world never knew about. You've faced many turning points in your life where you felt like moving forward might not be possible. Sometimes your steps stop. Sometimes your hopes are shattered. Sometimes you felt as if you were standing in a crowd, yet completely alone. There were people around you, voices, relationships, conversations, but still, deep within your heart was a silence that no one could hear. You hid your pain from the world. You hid your tears behind your smile and pushed forward each day, telling yourself that maybe tomorrow would be better. But when the days don't seem to change, when the wait grows longer, when even hard work leaves you empty-handed, then a person begins to tire, not externally, but internally. And you too were tired. I'm very tired. But your greatest strength was that you didn't stop. No matter how much the storm raged inside, no matter how many times your heart broke, you didn't let your steps stop completely. This is what sets you apart from others, because everyone can endure pain. But moving forward with pain is not everyone's cup of tea. And now it feels as if time is slowly closing the old pages of your life. Pages that held only waiting, only struggle, only the question of when everything would change. Life has a strange law. When a person is close to breaking down completely, when they feel they have no more strength left, somewhere a new beginning begins to take birth. Beginnings don't always come with a bang. They come gradually. Just as dawn doesn't come suddenly after a dark night, but first a faint light appears. Similarly, something has begun to change in your life. Perhaps you can't see it clearly right now. Perhaps everything seems the same. But the change that is beginning within you can transform your entire world in the future. One day you will look back and realize that the days you considered your defeat were actually days of preparation. The tears you considered your weakness were making you stronger. The people whose departure broke your heart were there to teach you that your worth is not determined by another person. And the pain that you thought was the end of your life was transforming you into a person who refuses to give up under any circumstances. Because some stories don't end easily. Some stories first break a person. Then they make them so strong that one day their victory isn't just a victory. It's the most beautiful comeback of their entire life. Rather, it's the fact that you stood up again, even after every breakdown. Very few people know how many silent battles lie hidden behind a smiling face. You too have fought battles that the world will probably never know about. Many times you hid your tears in your pillow. Many times you silenced your pain behind a smile. Many times you prevented the storm within you from coming out. The world only heard your voice, but not the silence of your heart. People saw your face, but they didn't see the 1,000 questions hidden behind your eyes that kept you awake every night. Many times you must have asked yourself, when will my life change? When will I find peace? When will I be able to smile freely, without fear, without pain, without burden? But not every question is answered immediately. Time holds some answers and slowly releases them into a person's life when the right moment arrives. Perhaps your life is nearing that turning point where old pains slowly recede and a new story begins to emerge. Everything may seem the same to you right now, but life's biggest changes are felt first and then revealed later. Just as the sky darkens completely before dawn, life often leads a person through their most difficult nights. Because time knows that some people need more than just a destination, they need to be made strong enough to handle it. Your tears, your weight, your loneliness, and your struggle have not been in vain. All of this is creating within you a person who will not only triumph in the future but will change your entire story. And the day you look back on your past, there will be no pain in your eyes, but pride. Pride in the fact that even when the whole world considered you weak, you still didn't let the hope within you die. You too have experienced times in your life when you felt everything was slowly slipping away. You saw people change, relationships drift apart, hopes shatter, and dreams shatter before your eyes. Your heart suffered a lot during those times, but you never complained. You never let your pain become your weakness. You pulled yourself together, mending the broken pieces and bringing back the smile the world believed to be true. But only you know how many times that smile was masked by tears. Now, your life seems to slowly shift into a new one dot. Now, your life seems to be slowly taking a new turn. You may not see the path clearly right now. You may feel like everything is the same as before, but some changes don't come suddenly. They gradually transform a person's world. One day, you'll suddenly realize that the things that once broke you are no longer able to weaken you. The people whose words once hurt your heart are no longer able to block your path. A different strength will begin to emerge within you. You'll feel stronger, calmer, and more confident than ever before. And perhaps that day, you'll understand that life wasn't punishing you, it was preparing you. Because some people aren't born just to find happiness. Some people come to write a story that others learn to embrace. And perhaps your story too is now moving in that direction, where pain will gradually be left behind, and your steps will move on that path where your heart will, for the first time, say with peace, "Now I am truly moving forward." The paths you walked alone, the people who abandoned you, the moments that broke you deep inside, weren't meant to destroy you. They were meant to transform you into someone who isn't afraid of pain, who knows how to find light even in the dark, who doesn't let go of their dreams even when faced with defeat. There were days in your life when you felt like you had nothing left in you. You appeared normal on the outside, but you were slowly crumbling inside. You suppressed the voice of your heart, hid your emotions, and kept moving forward, each time hoping that maybe one day everything would be all right. But the longer the wait, the more your heart grows weary. You must have asked yourself, when will my ordeal finally end? When will that day finally come in my life, when I will be able to breathe without burden, smile without fear, and dream without pain? But perhaps life wasn't meant to give you a short story. Some people aren't meant for ordinary paths. Time breaks some people early. Then it makes them so strong that one day, those same people, through their stories, begin to give others the courage to live. And perhaps now, that same chapter of your life is slowly unfolding, because after every night comes morning. This isn't just a saying, it's the law of life. So keep reminding your heart that your journey isn't over yet. Dreams are still alive within you. Hope is still alive within you. And as long as hope is alive, no story is over. Perhaps the biggest smile of your life is headed your way. Perhaps your share of happiness is on its way. And perhaps the future will give you the feeling your heart has been silently waiting for so long. Sometimes, life takes a person on such paths, that they feel there's nothing left. There are people all around, there are voices, the world continues at its own pace, but a strange silence spreads within. You too have probably felt that there are some pains that cannot be expressed in words. Some wounds are invisible, but they continue to tear a person apart from within, little by little, every day. You too must have tried many times to pull yourself together. Many times, you must have looked at yourself in the mirror and tried to smile, even though your heart was completely exhausted. Many times, you must have sat among people, laughed, talked, but deep inside, you must have felt as if a part of you was slowly slipping away. Because the hardest battles aren't the ones fought in front of the world. The hardest battles are the ones a person fights every day inside their own mind, without letting anyone know. You'll remember those nights when you tried to sleep, but sleep eluded you. You'll remember those moments when 1,000 questions raced through your mind. Why is this happening to me? When will everything be all right? When will I be able to breathe a sigh of relief? When will my life smile? And the most painful thing wasn't that you had questions. The most painful thing was that you had no answers to those questions. But still, you woke up every morning. Still, you steadied yourself. Still, you pushed forward. Because there was a strength within you that perhaps even you hadn't fully realized. A strength that kept picking you up every time you broke down. A strength that kept pulling you towards the light after every darkness. A strength that kept telling you again and again that the story wasn't over yet. And perhaps the most beautiful thing about life is that it never leaves a person's story midway. No matter how difficult the path, no matter how long the wait, no matter how deep the pain, time always brings a new twist. Sometimes, when a person is completely exhausted, when they've almost given up hope, somewhere far away, a new chapter in their life begins to be born. Beginnings don't always come with a bang. They come slowly, just as the sky darkens completely before dawn. Life, too, often takes a person through their most difficult moments. For some people, they don't just reach their destination, they are made to understand the value of their destination. And perhaps your story, too, is now heading towards that turning point, where your past tears will no longer be a mere memory of pain. Instead, they will become a testament to your strength, where your silence will not be considered weakness, but a hallmark of your resilience, and where one day you will look back at your past and smile and say, I was broken, but I didn't stop. And when a person is going through the most difficult phase of their life, they often feel that their voice has been lost somewhere. Perhaps their efforts have been drowned in darkness. Perhaps their prayers have been stopped midway. You too have often felt this question arise in your heart. How long? How much more waiting remains? How many more trials remain? Because it's not easy to keep fighting. It's not easy to smile constantly, especially when your inner self slowly begins to tire. You've often turned your pain into strength. You've often mended the broken pieces yourself. You've often held yourself together without any support. But there must have been moments when you felt like you simply had no strength left to move forward. At that time, you might have had a smile on your face, but your soul must have sat quietly, seeking solace. The world must have looked at you and said, you're strong, but only you knew the price of staying strong. Because strong-looking people aren't always strong. Sometimes, they just don't want to break. But some secrets of life aren't understood before time. Sometimes, what seems like your biggest defeat turns out to be your life's greatest preparation. The paths that appear empty to you are the ones that lead you to a destination you never imagined. Every restless night, every tear, every silent prayer, and every struggle have a meaning. Nothing happened without a reason. Your story is still incomplete, and the most beautiful part of incomplete stories is that their end is invisible. So don't tell your heart that everything is over. Tell it that there's still so much left. The sparkle in your eyes has yet to return. The true smile on your face has yet to appear, one that will not hide pain but to feel joy. The day has yet to come when you will look back on your past and say with a gentle smile, I didn't understand it at the time, but my life wasn't bringing me down. It was preparing me for my greatest flight. I never showed that to anyone. You have always been one of those people who hide their tears from the world, who refuse to let the voice of their broken heart reach anyone. You always tried not to cause anyone trouble because of you. not to diminish anyone's smile because of you. So you locked your pain inside yourself. You hid your suffering behind the walls of your heart. But gradually, that pain became a silent storm within you. Many times you must have talked to yourself at night. Many times you must have been entangled in your own questions. Sometimes it must have felt as if the whole world was moving forward, and only you were standing still. You must have felt that perhaps fate had forgotten you. Perhaps time was not yours. Perhaps your share of happiness has lost its way somewhere. But the greatest illusion of life is that when nothing changes for a while, time has its own silent language. It never announces loudly that your life is about to change. It slowly begins to change something within you. First, your fears begin to subside. Then your wounds begin to heal. Then your thinking begins to change, and then one day, your entire world begins to change. You will suddenly realize that the things that used to break you deep inside no longer hurt you as much as before. Those who once became your weakness are no longer able to contain your strength. A new faith will begin to blossom within you. You'll feel that after so much darkness, perhaps there really was some light somewhere. And that very day, you'll understand that life wasn't punishing you, it was strengthening you. Because some people don't live just for themselves. Some people come to write stories that, upon reading, can give others the courage to mend their broken hearts. Perhaps your story is also heading towards that turning point, where pain will be just a memory, and a new path will open before you. One that will slowly lead you to the person you always wanted to be. Sometimes, a person endures so much in life that they stop counting their pain. In the beginning, every hurt is felt, every break shakes the heart, every unfulfilled dream brings tears to the eyes. But gradually, a person begins to learn to live with pain. Perhaps something similar happened to you. You kept so much bottled up inside. You shared only your smile with people, but never your tears. You encouraged people with your voice, but you never told anyone about your fears. You fought the toughest battles of your life alone, without making a fuss, without complaining, without expecting anyone to come and support you. Because gradually, you accepted that you had to be your own support. But there's one thing you probably never fully realized. Every time you got up after being broken, something within you grew stronger. Every time you tried to smile despite the pain, a new strength was born within you. Every time you thought about giving up but took a step forward anyway, at that very moment, your story was changing. Because life isn't just about reaching your destination. Life is also about transforming into the person you become along the way. And you're slowly transforming into that person. A person who will no longer be broken by circumstances, who will no longer fear difficulties, who will no longer give up on their dreams, thinking they're just dreams. And then, in life, there comes a point where a person suddenly stops and reflects on their past. He remembers the paths on which his steps often faltered. He remembers the people who were once very close to him, but drifted away with time. He remembers the dreams he held dearly in his eyes, but circumstances snatched them away. And at that moment, a strange feeling arose within his heart. It hurts, but with that pain, a deep understanding also begins to emerge. Gradually, a person begins to understand that life wasn't just about gaining, it was also about teaching. Those who left didn't come just to leave. The pain you felt wasn't just to make you cry. The weight you experienced wasn't just to tire you. Everything has given you something, even if you didn't understand its meaning at the time. Many times you have saved yourself from breaking down. Many times you have pushed back the tears that welled up in your eyes. Many times you have told your heart to endure a little longer, to move on. Perhaps something good awaits ahead, and in truth, this has been your greatest strength. Because not everyone can keep going through tough times. Many give up midway. Many give up hope. Many surrender their dreams to time. But you kept going. You walked slowly. You walked wearily. You walked broken at times, but you never stopped. And perhaps life never leaves such people empty-handed, because time sees even the silent labor of those whom the world never sees. And now it feels as if your story is slowly approaching the door of a new chapter. Perhaps that door isn't fully open yet. Perhaps there's still some waiting left. but the winds have begun to change. The fear within you will slowly begin to subside. The burden in your heart will begin to lighten a little, and the sparkle in your eyes, once lost somewhere in the dust of circumstances, will return. Because some victories don't come with noise. They're born slowly, deep within the heart, and perhaps within you too. The same victory has begun to blossom. It will one day transform your entire world. Perhaps now you'll begin to understand that as much as life has hindered you, it has also given you the strength to move forward. Sometimes, a person isn't transformed by their victories, they're transformed by their pain. They're transformed by the nights where they silently wiped away tears. They're transformed by the moments when they healed their broken heart with their own hands. You've experienced countless nights like this, nights where the entire world was asleep, but thousands of thoughts were alive inside you. You fought your mind, fought your fears, fought your weaknesses, and the hardest part was that these battles were silent. No one saw your struggle. No one felt the storm raging within you. The world only saw your face, but it couldn't see the person inside you, breaking and then rebuilding, becoming a little stronger every day. Sometimes you felt like life wasn't being fair to you. You felt like you didn't get back the kind of hard work you put in. You felt like you didn't get back the kind of good you did for others. And at such times, fatigue isn't just physical, it's also the soul that feels. But one truth of life is that the results of every struggle aren't immediately visible. Some seeds lie silent in the soil for a long time. From the outside it seems like nothing is happening, but deep inside their roots are growing stronger. Then, one day that same seed breaks through the soil and gradually grows into a huge tree. Perhaps your life has been like that seed. You felt nothing was changing, but deep inside your roots were strengthening. Your patience was growing stronger. Your thinking was strengthened. Your faith was strengthening. And when time opens the next page of your life, you won't just see a change in circumstances. You'll see yourself transformed. There will be more peace in your eyes, more faith in your heart, and more strength in your steps. Because true victory isn't just about reaching your destination. True victory is about transforming into the person you become along the way. And perhaps that person is being born within you now, who will one day, looking back on their past pain, will say just one thing: I was breaking down at that time, but I didn't know that I was also being formed at the same time. Sometimes life brings a person to a place where even their own shadow seems strange. There comes a time when a person appears the same on the outside, but on the inside, they have completely changed. You too may have felt that in just a few years, you have felt more pain than you ever imagined. You watched people change, relationships drift apart, trust crumble, and even your many dreams slowly crumble before your eyes. Every time something shattered in your life, you didn't speak out. You kept your tears to yourself, your fears locked inside, and your pain locked behind the walls of your heart. To the outside world, you remain the same person who always smiles, always appears strong, always gives courage to others. But only you knew how many times everything had shattered inside you. Only you knew how many nights you felt like you had no strength left to go on. Only you knew how many times you had told yourself, enough is enough. But every time, a small voice inside you would rise up, saying, just a little more, endure a little more. Perhaps something awaited you ahead that would change the meaning of all your past pain. At that moment, it certainly feels like everything is falling apart, like everything is ending, like there's no hope left. But sometimes, breaking isn't the end. Breaking is also the beginning of a new person's birth. Just as a seed must burrow into the soil, live in darkness, endure the rain, and wait for its time. Then, one day, it breaks through the soil and emerges, slowly becoming a huge tree. Similarly, life also leads a person through many dark doors. At that moment, a person feels like they're being crushed, dying. But in reality, something new is being formed within them. Perhaps this is happening to you too. Perhaps all the struggles, all the tears, all the weights, and all the unfinished nights of your life are creating a strength within you that you yourself don't fully realize yet. And maybe one day, suddenly, you look back and tears well up in your eyes. But this time, not one of pain, but of pride. Because that day, you will understand that the moments that broke you the most were the ones that gave you your greatest strength. The path you thought was your defeat was slowly leading you to your greatest victory. When a person lives with pain for too long, it gradually becomes a habit. Then, they smile every day, but somewhere in their heart, an emptiness always remains. Perhaps something similar has happened to you. You have completed so many chapters of your life in silence that now you find it difficult to put your own pain into words. You have often tried to convince yourself that everything is fine, everything is normal, everything will change with time. But there were some nights when the truth within you stood before you, when the silence of the room seemed to speak your own questions, when your eyes, without any sound, only asked, "How long will I continue to feel this way? When will my life finally reach that point where I won't have to explain myself to my heart again and again? When will that day finally come when I can live freely, without fear, without heartbreak, without burden?" And perhaps the hardest part was that you didn't have the answers to those questions either. You just kept walking, holding on to hope. You kept moving forward, thinking that perhaps somewhere down the road, my share of light might be waiting for me. But the most unique thing about life is that it prepares a person the most when they feel that everything is ending. When you felt you were alone, that very moment the strength to endure was forming within you. When you felt that no one was listening to you, that very moment, a silent strength was being born within you. And perhaps now your life is slowly approaching that threshold where the old self begins to fade away and a new self begins to emerge. Because there comes a time in every person's life when they are not just battling circumstances, he's also going through internal battles. Perhaps the same thing happened to you. You struggled more with the questions that arose within your mind than with external difficulties. Many times you must have asked yourself, "Am I really as strong as people think I am?" Many times you must have felt deep within your heart that the fatigue no longer resides only in your body. This fatigue has now reached your soul, because it's not easy to constantly smile. It's not easy to constantly remain strong. It's not easy to constantly pretend that everything is fine when so much is not right inside. And this is the struggle the world understands the least. The world only sees the results, but not the countless nights where a person is trying to mend the broken pieces themselves. The world only sees the smile on the face, but does not see the story of the tears shed to reach that smile. But time works very silently. It doesn't suddenly arrive and declare that everything is about to change. It slowly begins to light small lamps of hope within a person. First, a person stops fearing pain. Then they learn to walk alone. Then he begins to recognize his worth, and one day, he realizes that everything that broke him was actually meant to strengthen him. And perhaps that same feeling is dawning within you. Perhaps that's why the restlessness won't be the same as before. Perhaps that's why your heart will slowly begin to feel lighter. Because victories don't come suddenly. They're born within a person long ago. Their voices are heard later. And it's possible that the greatest victory of your life is now taking shape within you. That victory won't be merely about reaching a destination, but about finding the person you've been searching for within yourself for so long. When that moment arrives, you won't just smile. For the first time, you'll feel from your heart that after so long, light has truly reached your doorstep, seeking your address. And when a person keeps their pain hidden within them for so long, they gradually stop understanding the world and start trying to understand themselves. Perhaps that's what happened to you. There must have been a time when you felt lonely even in a crowd of people. There were sounds, people, relationships, conversations all around. Yet, a strange silence lingered within your heart. You must have often felt as if you were standing somewhere far away, even though you were surrounded by everyone. You must have kept a smile on your face, even though your heart was completely exhausted. You must have given courage to others, even when you yourself needed someone's voice. You must have saved people from breaking down, even when so much was breaking inside you. And perhaps the hardest part wasn't that you were in pain. The hardest part was that you couldn't even put it into words, because some pains are so indescribable, they can only be felt. Some wounds are so invisible on the body, but they tire the soul a little bit every day. but perhaps now the time has begun to change something in your life. No, this change won't come suddenly. The whole world won't change just by waking up one morning. Rather, it will happen gradually. Just as the first rays of sunlight gently touch the sky after a cold night, so too will light slowly begin to descend into your life. First, the fear within you will subside. Then, the wounds in your heart will begin to heal. Then, you will begin to find solace in even the smallest things. And then, one day, you will suddenly realize that you are no longer the same. The person who once broke down over every little thing can now stand firm, even in the face of storms. The person who once feared their pain can now see their wounds as their strength. And that day, you will understand that life was preparing you, not defeating you. Because some people don't come here just to fulfill their dreams. Some come here to write a story that can one day awaken hope in the heart of another broken person. And perhaps your story is also moving in the same direction, where your past tears will one day become the identity of your greatest strength, and your silence will one day become your loudest voice, telling the world that you were broken, but never broken. Perhaps the most untold story of your life is the one that never came out in words, because every person has some chapters that they do not show to the world. There are some pains that they keep hidden in the quietest corners of their hearts. Perhaps you did the same. You did not let the sound of your brokenness reach anyone. You hid the battles going on inside you behind a smile on your face. You got up every morning, did your work, met people, laughed, talked. But there was a part of you that was accumulating a little fatigue every day. Sometimes you felt that perhaps the world did not understand you. Perhaps people saw your face but not your heart. And gradually you learned to live with your pain. You befriended your loneliness. You made your silence your companion. But somewhere deep inside you, a tiny bit of hope still lingered. A hope that kept saying, "No, it's not over yet. My share of the morning is still left. The most beautiful chapter of my life story is yet to be written." And the most amazing thing about life is that it never abandons a person midway through their journey. When a person feels they no longer have the strength to continue, somewhere within them, new strength begins to form. When a person feels they have no reason to hope, life quietly begins to prepare new paths for them. And perhaps something similar is happening to you right now. Everything may seem the same to you, but deep inside, so much is changing. Your soul is becoming stronger. Your heart is learning more patience. Your thoughts are becoming deeper. And one day suddenly, you will realize that the person standing inside you is not the same old person who used to break down in the face of every pain. It will be a new person who knows the value of tears, who understands the language of loneliness, who feels the meaning of waiting, and who has realized that true victory doesn't lie in reaching the destination. True victory lies in the journey, where, even in brokenness, one doesn't let one's dreams die. That day, you won't just reach your destination. That day, you will reach yourself. And perhaps you never realized that your greatest strength wasn't your smile. Your greatest strength was your heart, which, even after being broken again and again, never stopped loving, never stopped believing, never stopped dreaming. Because many people, once broken, extinguish the light within themselves. They build walls around themselves. They close the doors of their hearts. They distance themselves, not from the world. But you haven't completely become that. Yes, you did get tired. Yes, you did get shattered at times. Yes, you often felt alone at night. But somewhere deep inside you, there was a part that refused to give up. That same part of you kept picking you up every time you fell. That same part kept telling you, not yet. Your story isn't over yet. The most important part of your life is still left. And perhaps that's why, even after so many long struggles, a tiny flame of hope still burns within you. Because there are some lights that storms try to extinguish but can't. You probably remember those days when you felt like the whole world was moving forward, while you were the only one standing there. You felt people fulfilling their dreams, reaching their happiness, and you were still standing there, waiting for your time. At that time, there must have been restlessness in your heart. There must have been fear and a silent question, when will my turn come? But life never answers everyone at the same time. Some people reach their destination quickly, while others have a long journey. Sometimes, the long journey isn't a punishment, it's preparation, because time doesn't want to give some people victory. Time wants to make them strong enough so that when victory comes their way, they can understand its value. Perhaps your life too is now approaching that point, where your past tears will become your identity, not your weakness, where your silence will be called your strength, not your defeat. And the day you look back, you will no longer feel pain over your old wounds. You will feel proud because you will understand. And perhaps now the story of your life has reached a point where time is slowly beginning to understand all the fatigue within you. Because some fatigue is not something that can be dispelled by mere rest. Some fatigue is in the heart. Some fatigue is of the unfulfilled dreams that a person holds dearly within themselves. Some fatigue is of the hopes that keep being reborn even after being shattered again and again. You too have probably felt this same fatigue. Sometimes you have become silent for no reason. Sometimes you have felt lost within yourself, even when you were among people. Sometimes you have tried to smile, but your heart has quietly said, "I'm a little tired now." Because a person doesn't just move with their body, they move with their faith, they move with their dreams.